Welcome to Sideline Sports. Tonight, it's just me, JB Ellis, and Jon Shearer. Jake may be joining us later. If not, we will miss him. But John, welcome to the show tonight. What's going on? How was the week?
Pretty good. Is that a Jeremy Shockey jersey, by the way? Or a
No,
Monty
it is not.
Tumor?
Victor Cruz.
Victor Cruz. Okay, gotcha.
Got my
trying to figure
Giants
that
color.
out.
Get ready for week one. Going to take on John Mizek and the Denver Broncos. We're going to be a tough game, but we're going to let's get to the NFL. Let's start now. So I'm going to start with the NFL. The Washington Redskins are going to win the NFC East. What do you think?
I think the Dallas Cowboys, actually. Ryan Fitzpatrick has never made the playoffs, and I think that continues. And the Dallas Cowboys, as bad as their defense is, they have a great offense, and I think they stay relatively healthy. And you can get to the playoffs with an offense like that. You just can't. You're not going to win a Super Bowl without a defense. So that's why I think they win the division. 9-8.
So you're saying 9-8 winning the division, and you're saying the Cowboys are going to beat the Redskins.
I mean, the offense that the Cowboys have is better, in my opinion, than the defense the Washington football team has when it comes to how good they are respectively. And I just don't believe in the Washington offense. I mean, it's a lot of pieces, but I just don't believe in Fitzmagic. Never made the playoffs in his, 15, 16, 17-year career, never made the playoffs.
Never done it.
There's a reason for that.
But he's got the defense, and he's capable. They don't call him Fitzmagic for nothing.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, he had a pretty great defense in Miami last year, and he was only 3-3 when he got yanked. So, he throws you in games and he throws you out of games. Dallas' offense is too good.
But then they put him in when the games were under, were close games. They threw him in there. They took out my man Tua.
Yeah. Well, I've heard you tell me that a couple times.
So obviously he must be the guy they believed in that could take them to the promised land.
Apparently not. If he was 3-3 and they yanked him as their starter the rest of the year. So I just don't believe in Washington overall. The defense is good, but the Cowboys' offense is better than the Washington's defense, respectively. So Cowboys win in the division, but they're not going to go anywhere in the playoffs.
All right, so let's continue with that division. Do you think the Giants have a shot to be in their division race going forward for the whole season?
I think so, because the division is so bad. I mean, every team was under 500 last year. So, for us to pretend that the division got a lot better is just, it's not true. It didn't get much better. Eagles didn't get better. The Giants didn't get better. Dallas really didn't get better besides the Micah Parsons signing. They didn't get better. And Washington got Ryan Fitzpatrick, which they upgraded at quarterback, but other than that, they really didn't upgrade anywhere. So really the division is close to similar to what it was last year. And I still see Dallas winning it. And like I said, the Giants, everybody's going to have a chance except the Eagles. The Eagles are going to be terrible.
See, I think the Giants are going to be fool's gold. They're going to probably midway through the season, you're going to be sitting there as a Giant fan like I am and say,
like last year?
Exactly. Like, we have a shot. We could take the division. Because Dallas is going to do what Dallas does. They're not going to win the division. Washington's going to take the division with Fitzpatrick, the better coach, Rivera. And they're going to win the division with their defense. Now, Dallas is all depending on what Dak can do. And the Giants will falter. Saquon will get hurt because we have no line. And what are they going to do without Saquon?
That's my problem with the Giants is if they had a line, I might give them the division, but because their defense is good and they got a lot of weapons, but they don't have an offensive line.
Their defenses are going to regress this year. It's not going to be a top 10 defense. It's going to be a top 15 defense.
I think it'll be pretty solid. And I think if they had a line on the offensive side, I think that it would go really well together, and I think that they could win the division with that type of team, but the line will kill them. That's going to be their Achilles heel.
Yeah, I think both lines, both ways, both sides of the ball.
You don't like their D-line?
I don't think they have a good enough pass rush on the outside.
I mean, they had a good run stopping though last year, run stopping defense, right?
Their,
I mean,
their defense was way better than expected last year. It was
okay.
phenomenal. It's going to falter back this year. It's just the way I look at it. I just have a feeling watching it. I think Joe Judge, much better than I expected as a head coach. I was very happy out of like the Belichick coaching tree. Right now, he seems to be the one that maybe towards the top of it right today. We'll see after this year if I still have the same opinion. But when he was hired, I was down on him. I thought it was a bad hire. The Giants got beat at all the guys they wanted. And right now, it looks like they got the right guy for the job. So I'll give them a pass on that, and we'll see how this year goes. But I think it's going to be fool's gold. I think they're going to come in third. And, I think you're going to see mid-season, we're going to look like they have a shot. And then, bam, that's going to be it. Washington's going to win.
Now, do you think it's fair? Do you think that Danny Dimes has had a fair shot, or do you think because of the lack of line, you really haven't seen what he can potentially do as an NFL quarterback?
I think Eli could still be playing with a good line out there. The problem is they never gave him one. They basically, because he didn't want to play anywhere else besides the Giants, retired, and he'll be calling Monday Night Football online for ESPN. So,
But do you think Danny Dimes could be a good NFL quarterback if he had a decent line? Because he doesn't have any. I think they were 31st in line by Pro Football Focus last year. I think it was 31st ranked line.
If he has to learn how to protect the ball, and with the line or without the line, you can throw the ball away and be effective. And you have to learn how to do that. That's where his problem is. He turns the ball over too much.
Do you think as a young guy he's kind of gun shy because of running for his life all the time?
I think that's a hard spot to be in as a quarterback, especially a young quarterback. But he can move, which is a great thing because that wasn't one of the things I looked at when they got him, that to think he was as agile or mobile as he was. But I definitely like his speed and his agility out there, but at the same time, I think he has to do better with his decisions. He has to get rid of the ball quicker, throw it away more, and be more careful because those missed opportunities and giving the ball away equates to points against us. You can't always put the defense in a bad spot and expect the defense to perform.
No, and despite the terrible line, it's a terrible line. He does finally have weapons. He didn't have Barkley last year. So that was hard, and they finally went out and got him offensive weapons aside from Barkley, and they finally got rid of Tate, which they needed to do because he was washed up and he was a distraction for the team. He was just a distraction. So I think that this should be a make or break year for not only him, but I think it should be a make or break year for Gettleman.
I think Gettleman should be gone already.
I think so
because
too.
The line has been the problem year after year after year, and it hasn't been addressed properly. It's not as if, we were a starter on the line short away from having a good line. This line has been completely rebuilt year after year and gotten nowhere. So you can't keep doing that.
Well, they had a chance at Quentin Nelson, but they passed on him a couple years ago. So if you remember that, they passed on Quentin Nelson like five teams did. So and they took Barkley instead.
It'll be interesting to see where they go. So, okay, you have Dallas, Washington, Giants, Eagles.
Yeah, I think the Eagles are going to be bottom. They're going to be in the top 10 for draft picks next year in the draft. I actually think they could even be one of the 5 worst teams. That's how bad I think that roster is.
They're going to be bad.
People think because Jalen Hurts, and Jalen Hurts will put up stats, but if you watch Jalen Hurts last year, he struggled with his completion percentage. He fumbled the ball a lot. He's a smaller guy, so that plays against him as an NFL quarterback. He only has 3 starts in his NFL career, and now he's being handed the keys to the car with a rookie head coach. I think this has disaster written all over, and he's still got, as Alex Fleming likes to say, midgets for wide receivers. Devontae Smith, I love him as a receiver, but he's a small guy, and that's hard when that's basically your number one. You really don't have anything else at receiver. I don't see a lot out of this team. Offensive line is not good. Goddard's on a contract year. Ertz's contract year. Miles Sanders has been disappointing, whether that's because of Doug Peterson or whatever. He's much like Barkley. He tries to hit the home run ball instead of getting a 4-yard gain, which is what an NFL running back does. So I just don't see a lot of this Eagles team, and I only see 4 wins at best. That's all I see.
That's pretty much where I had them when I did John Mizek's preview for the NFC East. The only difference I have from you is I have Washington over Dallas with the Giants in third. But let's go to the AFC East. Let's go to the other side. Your Dolphins. So Tua is going to remain the starting quarterback, which I'm glad that they get Deshaun Watson. I like Tua. I think he's got a lot of talent.
Yeah.
Are you glad with that move?
Oh yeah, I love it because he's a young guy. He's only played 8 games. I mean, you can't give up on a guy after 8 games. Josh Rosen, the Cardinals gave up on after 16 or 15 because they knew Josh Rosen wasn't an NFL quarterback. Tua has shown glimpses.
Answer that question right now.
Thank you. Yes, he's much better than Mac Jones. Mac Jones is a game manager. That's what he's going to be in his career, which will fit for Bill Belichick. But Tua has a potential to be a really good to great NFL quarterback if he can continue to improve, learn the playbook, and they have a good offensive line. The problem with Tua is he doesn't have a line because they're all young. They were all basically rookies last year. And Austin Jackson is on the COVID list, the guy they drafted last year. He hasn't been good yet. So you're working with a young offensive line, all basically in their second year. That's their Achilles heel. And I just said with the Giants, you don't have a line, it can kill you.
So right now, how do your Dolphins beat the Bills?
Defense. They have to beat them with defense. And it's going to be easier said. I mean, it's going to be easier said than done because we saw what the Bills can do offensively. But the Dolphins pride themselves on defense and Xavier Howard, and that's how they're going to have to beat them is keep them off the scoreboard because you can score against the Bills' defense. It's not like that it's a top 5 defense. They're about 15th in the league.
Who's winning the division? How do you have this division going?
It looks like the Bills only because the Dolphins' line is not progressing as fast as you would hope it would from last year.
I wanted to put you out of order. I was expecting you to say the Dolphins.
I want the Dolphins to win it, but seeing their line in the preseason really is scaring me. The rest of the team I'm confident in. I think that they've built a good core. But the line hasn't come along as fast as some of their other pieces have. As fast as Tua has this preseason, who's looking better. He looks like he's trying to take that next step, that leap from year 1 to year 2.
They've done a great job putting that team together.
The line
is the spot where it's taking them from being in contention with the Bills to being the number 2 team and fighting for that wild card spot.
Yep. We saw what happened to Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl without a line.
Yeah. So, I mean, I agree with you. Tua is better than Mac. I don't even question that.
That's not even an argument.
Tua.
Yeah.
I think Tua with the right coaching can become an elite quarterback in the NFL.
I think so,
anytime soon. I mean, it's going to take him 4 or 5 years. He's not going to step up and, have it happen overnight. But I think he's smart enough. He showed he can manage the game. And he did that with all the talent he had, where they held him back. I want to see them let him play this year and see where they go. But I'm going to say Bills easily win the division. No disrespect to the Dolphins because the Dolphins are making the playoffs.
The line needs to progress, right?
The Patriots are going to be better, but they're still not going to be very good. I'm thinking maybe 6-11, 7-10. Nothing to write home about.
I think 7-10 is right about perfect with a rookie quarterback.
And then you have the Jets, who are cousins to the Eagles. Why bother? Let's get another pick. We can go for another quarterback. Try the whole rebuilding thing again next year because Zach Wilson. He was no good. If he sees ghosts, he's playing Pac-Man. I don't know because they're the Jets.
I think the Jets win 3 games at best, and that's not a knock on Zach Wilson or Robert Saleh, but it's a bad roster, and it's going to take a couple years for this roster to develop. You got young guys along the line who are trying to take their leaps, and Zach Wilson is a rookie, and they don't have a lot of weapons. So I see 3 wins at best out of them, but it's a good
So
3 wins. It's a
we're
like
we're a quarter of the way through the NFL. The only disagreement we have so far is Washington and Dallas. We just flip flop them. Everything else we
I
agree
think
on.
they're interchangeable, really, for winning
It's
the
going to be
division.
it's going to be close because the NFC East is just garbage right now.
Yeah.
But it could be either way. I'm going to go with defense. You're going to go with offense, which Dallas is a much better offense. I can't argue. I mean, I picked up CD Lamb in my fantasy league.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason Dak was on pace for almost 7,000 yards last year.
Exactly.
I mean, I got to give him credit for that.
Exactly. So, I mean, let's go to the AFC North next. This is a tough division. Who's winning this division and why?
I still think the Ravens because the Browns can't beat them. The Browns got swept by them last year. The Browns played the best game that they could play. Aside from the Steelers getting the playoffs, regular season-wise, the Browns played the best game that they could, and they still couldn't beat the Ravens. Still couldn't. With Lamar Jackson going to take a poop and coming back, still couldn't beat the Ravens. He made his triumphant return from the toilet, still couldn't beat the Ravens. The Browns couldn't. So until they can prove that they can at least split the season series, I just don't see it.
So a couple of years ago, there was a Sunday night game. I want to say Cleveland against the Giants for some reason. Sticks out of my head.
Yes.
I could be wrong.
Yeah, you're right.
But I remember Baker Mayfield running for his life, and every time he ran, he scrambled right. It was like predictable. And I don't watch game film. I mean, I could, but I just don't have the time at this point in my life. If I'm picking this up, watching TV footage, NFL defensive coordinators are going to kill this guy. Since that, he's gotten better. I like what they did last year, but I still don't see them beating the Ravens. Ravens, Browns, Steelers, and Bengals, just like that. The Bengals will be better, but their line isn't much better. Joe Burrow's got to stay healthy, and I don't see that happening. I think it's going to be an uninspired division. I think the Browns will have a shot at the last wild card. I don't think they make it, but I think they'll have a shot at it.
Oh, you don't think the Browns make it?
No, not
I do.
right now. But, they're exciting to watch at least again. Their defense has gotten a lot better, and, with the moves that they've made, they're exciting.
Yeah, I see the Browns making the playoffs as a wild card. I definitely do. I don't see Pittsburgh. I mean, I have them at 8-9. I've been saying that all offseason. They have no offensive line. Their weapons aren't great. And, I mean, we're going to probably talk about it a little bit, but this TJ Watt thing, I mean, that if they don't sign him to an extension, that their season's over.
Yeah, it's not a good thing. I don't think Big Ben has it anymore. I think he needs to call Peyton and Eli and say, "You want a third in your Monday Night Football booth?" and see if he can get that done, because playing football is not for him anymore. It's just not worth it. Let's go over to the NFC North. A lot of excitement in the NFC North. Aaron Rodgers comes back with Green Bay. All of a sudden, I'm going to play this year. I like to talk and just say things, but they mean nothing. I'm going to play. Welcome back, Green Bay. I'm a hero. Unfortunately, that's still going to win the division.
Yep. Well, the Bears don't have an offensive line. Another team without a line. And Matt Nagy is just using Justin Fields to save his job. So he's going to start Andy Dalton, play him until the wheels fall off, knowing that the team's not going anywhere with Dalton. Then second half of the year or late in I don't know who muted me. Late in the season, he's going to start Fields just to give them a jolt of energy. He'll win them some games. There'll be hope for the Bears for the future, and then that will save Matt Nagy's job for next year, for this year and next year. And I don't think the Bears should do that, but that's what he's doing. He's using Justin Fields to secure his job this year and next year. So it's not about winning to him. It's about saving his job. That which is not your job as a coach. It's to get the best out of your players and win.
So right now, looking at it, the Giants get the Bears' #1 pick. I'm very invested on a Bears season. My people in Chicago don't like that I'm rooting for the Bears to go 0-16. And I want Fields to be in because I like him. I'm watching him play in the preseason. I mean, he's better than Dalton. What's the Bears' record?
Well, I mean, I said 6 wins. 6-11 is what I have them at because Matt Nagy's going to start Dalton a lot of the year, and they'll run into some wins, and then Justin Fields will come in late in the year, and they'll run into some more wins. So 6-11 is what I have them at, but they're not a very good football team with Andy Dalton and without a line.
So we got Packers, Vikings, Bears, Lions in that order.
Yep.
Disagree?
Yeah, I think the Vikings are going to be a lot better than people think they are, but I still, for some reason, have them at 6-11. Think that they're going to be competitive, but 6-11 Vikings.
You think
because
the Vikings 6-11?
Yeah, for some reason, because I don't believe in Kirk Cousins, and he's a guy. Deb says we're out of order. I hope your Bears go 0-17. She's a Bears fan, right?
Don't steam me, John, because I'm already steamed.
Okay. So I say Kirk Cousins. I mean, he'll, like Ryan Fitzpatrick, there's a game where he'll throw 105 yards and no touchdowns and 2 picks. And then there will be a game where Kirk Cousins throws 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, and no picks. You can't live with that. And I don't see them having a winning record. So I see them going 6-11, tying the Bears. And I don't believe in this Vikings team until I see it. And I don't know. I just don't believe in Mike Zimmer. I think it's time for him to go and then get a new coach in there.
I'm going to disagree with you completely. I think the Vikings are going to be somewhere around 9-8. Are they a great team? No, but they got Dalvin Cook. They got, Thielen still. Their defense
had him last year. Please keep going.
Their defense is pretty good. It's not a horrible D. It's not top 5, but their defense is enough to keep them in games. Cousins can manage games. I don't see them fall into 6-11. Do I see them winning the division over the Packers? No. Are they better than the Bears and the Lions? Without a doubt.
Yeah. I don't know. Because of Kirk Cousins, I just don't believe it, man. And then Cook always seems to get hurt. And I have a weird feeling, as much as I don't want this to happen because I loved watching him last year, I have a feeling that Justin Jefferson's going to suffer a lot. He's going to suffer a lot of small injuries this year, like hamstring, ankle, a lot of small things. It's just going to nag him throughout the year. It's just going to kind of bring his production down from what it was last year. And I for some reason, I have that feeling about him. He's going to regress a little bit because of injuries. Not a season ender, just nagging injuries. And it's not going to quite be the same year for him.
Dalvin Cook, 2,000 yards or no?
No, he needs to prove that he can stay healthy. That's how I feel about Cook.
Okay, but if he stays healthy, 2,000 yards or no?
No.
A full 17 games.
1,700, yes. 2,000, he's not Derrick Henry.
Okay. I'm going to disagree. I think Dalvin Cook and Derrick Henry could almost be interchangeable.
Now when it comes to 2K, that's a special list. Only 8,000 people. 8 people have done that, I believe, in the NFL history. And
yes, but now you're adding another game, so it kind of loses a little meaning.
I don't think so. 2,000 is still hard to do. Running for over 100 yards a game is really hard.
If you get it at 16 games, I'll respect you. If you get it in week 17 or week 18 as opposed to the bye week.
Still, that's $2,000. That's a lot of mileage on your feet.
I would need to see the list of backs that had 1,900 yards to say before I'd say okay.
I believe Eric Dickerson broke the record in 14 games.
Yes, that was back in the old schedule.
Yeah.
Now, all right, let's go to the AFC South. What do you like there?
Not a lot.
We got your Colts.
I have gripes with every team.
Got the Colts, Titans,
Texans, and Jags.
That's an unexciting division.
No, we know what the Texans are going to be. That is a disaster. They're going 1-16. I think they're going to run into one win somewhere. Jags are going to. Alex, see, the thing is, on the sports arena, Alex keeps saying, well, the Jags are going to go 7-10.
Really?
I
gotta
keep
talk
telling
Dallas.
him, this is basically the same exact roster as the team that was the number one pick and had the number one pick in the draft, which means you were the worst team in the NFL. Now,
Yes,
I
but
think the Jets were the worst team in the NFL because I think the Jags tanked somewhat.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. So the Jags did,
but there's a reason
they wanted to pick.
But even if they didn't tank, they were still going to be a bottom 5 team.
I would say 4 or 5 wins at the max for Jacksonville this year.
I just
that's
don't,
where I'm going
with Urban Meyer, who looks like a clown car. Trevor Lawrence, and the line doesn't look great. The line's not good. Trevor Lawrence is going to be fine this year, but the line is going to make him a little gun shy.
He's going to have to learn how to lose, and that's a tough thing to learn.
Yep,
he's never lost in any division.
That you're right, and the receiving core I don't love. It's decent, but it needs to prove more to me. And the defense is not very good. So this team, I have them at 3 wins. That's about where I have them, 3-14.
So I got Tennessee, Indy, Jacksonville, and then they still play football in Houston. I don't know why. I mean, they got rid of Bill O'Brien, so they're doing something right. But they still play football down there.
Who would have thought? They get rid of Bill O'Brien and they become more of a disaster.
Pretty scary. How do you see the 4? How do you have that division?
This division, see, I had the Colts number 1. I still have them number 1 because of the defense and the run game. They don't have receivers, and I don't believe in Wentz, but still, Titans can't play defense. So
you're out of order for that because remember when Wentz got traded? What did I tell you? He will be hurt. He didn't even make it to the training camp before he got hurt.
But the thing is, the Titans have no defense. Besides Caleb Farley, which was a great draft pick, they don't have a defense. So, how can I buy them winning the division when they can't play defense? And the Colts are a complete football team aside from Carson Wentz. They're pretty much a complete football team.
Carson Wentz is going to cost them that division, either by him being hurt or by him doing something because he has no mental fortitude. And he's not a leader.
And the coaching staff is a million times better in Indy than it is in Tennessee. I'd take Reich all day. That coaching staff, the GM, all of them, really top of the league, some of the best in football. As an organization, the way they've been run recently, one of the top organizations recently. So I just see them because they're a more complete football team. Tennessee's one-sided.
I'm going to disagree. How do you see the division 1-4?
Colts, Titans, Jags, Texans. I mean, the bottom 2 aren't even relevant.
So we're flip-flopping here. We're pretty close to agreement here. On
most of these divisions have 2 bottom feeders and then 2 solid teams, it seems, is the common theme.
So let's go back to the NFC South now.
Ooh.
We got the Super Bowl champions there. Besides for that, you got a lot of teams in decline and disarray.
Mm-hmm.
So automatically we're going to say the Bucs win the division because if you say anybody else wins the division, I'm ending the show now. I'll hit end broadcast. You let me know. But 2 through 4 is going to be interesting. How do you see this going?
I see the Panthers going 8-9. I've been saying it. I see John Mazik saying Winston's better than Darnold. I can't say that because I don't know what Sam Darnold is. We didn't see he hasn't gotten a fair shake in New York. That wasn't a fair shake. So I can't for sure say that Sam Darnold's this or Sam Darnold's that. I need to see a season out of him before I really decide in my mind what he is. Because you can't go off of that Adam Gase train wreck. That's just not fair. Anybody in that scenario would have fell apart. Anybody. That was a dumpster fire. You're not going to succeed in that. So I need to see 1 year out of him. Then I think I can make my determination because he's got weapons. He's got Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore. They went and got Terrace Marshall. They have Robbie Anderson. Pretty decent line, not great, but decent line. And an up and coming defense. 8 and 9 is where it's at. Second year coach. He's not quite ready for that team to make the jump yet, but they're on the cusp. Right at the end of the year, they'll be on the cusp for next year. And so that's why I see 8 and 9 and second in the division, which is nothing to be upset about because the team isn't ready yet.
So you're going to say Carolina, basically, we're going to just say the three of them are in their own division because Tampa Bay won already. So yeah. I'm going to say the NFC South B. We're going to call it that. So the three teams that are left are the NFC South B. So you're saying that Carolina's winning the South B?
Yep.
Over New Orleans, who has Winston, who's better than Darnold.
Oh, no, New Orleans is going to be last in the division. If
really?
they're gonna go 5-12, just like the Falcons, but the Falcons will have the tiebreaker. Saints will be a worse team in the standings. Yep.
Okay, so let's look at this logically. The Falcons, who we covered pretty much directly because we worked in Atlanta.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
How are we saying that team is going to be better than New Orleans?
Well, if you look at Matt Ryan is a better quarterback than Jameis Winston ever has been. So I'd take Matt Ryan all day. I love Alvin Kamara. Don't get me wrong on the Saints. I mean, there ain't nothing in Atlanta that's comparing to Alvin Kamara. But Michael Thomas is out for the first 5-6 weeks. That's hard. You have no receivers behind him. Who are you going to throw to if you're Jameis Winston the first month and a half of the season? Marquez Callaway, a rookie who did good in preseason. Woo. Lions went 4-0 in preseason in 2008. Do you know what their record was? 0-16. Preseason doesn't mean anything. Ravens have gone undefeated in preseason. They won their last 25 games or something. Big deal. It's preseason. So Winston has no tight end. Jared Cook left. He only has Alvin Kamara, who I love, but you can't, in the NFL, it's a 53-man roster, not a one-man roster. So Jameis Winston has nobody to throw to.
Let's break it down this way. Better offense right now.
Falcons.
Without Julio Jones, you're going to say the Falcons run game.
No, I didn't say run game. I said you said offense.
When you put it together, the run game and pass game, you're going to give the edge to the Falcons?
I got to go with Kyle Pitts and Calvin Ridley. And I think Mike Davis will be pretty solid for them. He's not going to be great, but I think he'll be solid for them. So overall, I like Matt Ryan better than Winston. Calvin Ridley is a world beater. So I think he's going to be playing better this year than Michael Thomas will, even if when Michael Thomas comes back, because we haven't seen Michael Thomas and Jameis Winston really together, and we don't even know if Jameis Winston keeps the job. If he plays bad, does Taysom Hill get the job? Is Taysom Hill going to get half the game at starter and Winston gets the other half, or is it 75-25? Because Sean Payton loves Taysom Hill, and they just cut their backup running back in Latavius Murray because they refused to pay him because they asked him to take a pay cut, and he said no. So now you don't really have a backup running back. So what do you really have offensively besides Alvin Kamara?
I'm going to tell you now. The Saints will come in second in the division, followed by Carolina, and the good old Atlanta basement.
I don't know if you know, John Mazik's right. They lost their leading sack. The person who led the team in sacks last year, he's gone, left in free agency. It's not Cam Jordan. He didn't lead the team in sacks. It's Trey Hendrickson. He's gone. They lost their two defensive tackles. Gone. They lost a lot of pieces on that defense that really were vital to that team. Marshawn Lattimore was not the same guy that he's been. Last year he wasn't. So he needs to prove that he's that guy again. The defense took a big step back with all these offseason losses. And the defense really was the best part of their team last year. So if the defense is worse and you go from Drew Brees to Jameis Winston, Taysom Hill.
Who do you think's a better coach? Who do you think's the best coach in the division is, besides Bruce Arians?
Well, Sean Payton's a better head coach than Bruce Arians.
So you don't think Sean Payton could scheme with Jameis Winston, who has a great arm, and make that offense work?
Tiger doesn't, as Alex Fleming always says when we bring up this topic, and I gotta quote him, Tiger doesn't change his stripes. Jameis Winston's still Jameis Winston, and he has no receivers. If he had Calvin Ridley and Kyle Pitts, I would clearly pick the Saints. But he doesn't have anybody to throw to for the first month and a half. And then Michael Thomas, we don't know what he's going to be because he didn't play football really last year. And he is not going to play football for the first month and a half. So that's a year and a half off of football that you're taking off, basically, from playing meaningful games.
Second place team. That's all I'm saying.
I don't buy with the Saints. I think this is the year where they really go underwater.
You got Tampa, obviously, Carolina, Atlanta, the Saints. I have the Saints, Carolina, Atlanta.
Look, when I called into the JR Brief show on CBS Sports Radio a couple weeks ago, after I covered the Orioles game from Baltimore, was leaving, driving home, called the JR Sports Brief show on CBS Sports Radio. He was going on about Jameis Winston. I called in, told him what I just told you. We got into a nice big debate back and forth for like 10 minutes on his show. I don't know how I got on the radio for like 10 minutes, but got into a nice argument. Then he was like, brother, I love you, but I want to choke you right now. He's like, you make me want to choke you. And I was like, yes, this is great. Like thinking, bring the hate out in you, just like I do to Jake and JB. Bring the hate out. Let it flow through you. I love this. I love that I'm able to get a certified sports radio guy on CBS Sports Radio. I love that I'm able to get under his skin, and he goes from cool and calm and collected to I want to choke you on the national radio airwaves. I love that I'm able to pull that off. So don't feel bad that I do it to you and Jake. I did it to a certified sports radio guy on CBS, so I'm pretty proud of that. Just had to tell you that.
So let's go to the NFC West. Now, this division, I think, is the division. So does Seattle rebound? Do the Rams finally come back and win the division after what has felt like forever? Does San Francisco come back?
Bless you.
Thank you. What do you see with that?
Well, I see as long as you have Russell Wilson, you're winning the division. That's what I think. So, Seahawks number one.
As sad as it sounds, I'm going to be agreeing with you yet again. I like the Seahawks. I like the Rams to make it a close race.
Yep.
I think Arizona is going to be really good this year. I think they're going to get better yet again. And then I think we're going to see San Francisco in last.
No, San Francisco is going to be really good this year.
Really?
I have three teams going to the playoffs out of this division.
Yeah, Arizona.
Not Arizona.
Arizona.
Now, do I think that San Francisco is a legit threat with Jimmy Garoppolo? No, because he's a game manager and they're not winning a Super Bowl with that. But I think that they're going to be a really good team, and they're going to get third in the division. Rams are a really good team. They're going to be really good, but as long as you have Russell Wilson, I have to pick the Seahawks. And then the Cardinals. I mean, last year, they melted down and let Jacobs' Bears back into the playoffs. Like, they let them walk backwards into the playoffs with Matt Nagy and Mitch Trubisky. They went 8-8, the Cardinals did. It was abysmal. I mean,
yes, and then there's something to progression. You don't all of a sudden go 14-2. You build towards it.
But the defense isn't great. You have washed up J.J. Watt, who is supposed to be your big signing.
Don't sleep on the desert. That's all I'm telling you. Don't sleep on the desert.
It's like John Mizek said, and I was thinking the same thing. Cliff Kingsbury is not showing me much. I mean, he showed me more than Zach Taylor at Cincy, who should be fired soon. He's not been good at all. He hasn't shown me anything. Cliff Kingsbury's getting there for me. Like, if this year they don't make the playoffs, I think they should get rid of him. or his seat should be extremely hot because that guy has all the tools in the world, at least offensively, and you can't make the playoffs. It's time to put up or shut up for that guy. And I don't believe in Cliff Kingsbury as an NFL coach. College-wise, did great at Texas Tech. Don't get me wrong. But NFL-wise, I just don't see him being a successful NFL coach. And that's why I see them going last in the division and going 8-9. I just don't believe in this team.
You're overhyped on the 49ers. It's not going to be a good year.
No, they're a really good football team. They play great. They're well coached. Kyle Shanahan's amazing. They did lose Robert Saleh, so I'll give you that. But defensively, they'll be pretty good. Offensively, you run the ball really well. You got Kittle. You got weapons on the outside. Your quarterback's not great, but you don't need him to make a lot of plays when you can run the ball really well, play action to Kittle, Ayuk, Debo. The team is going to be a really good football team. May not be a sexy way of winning, but they're going to be a good 10-7.
Yeah. No, they're overrated. Overrated. John Myzik says it's best. Overrated.
Darn you, John Myzik.
Trust JB Ellis on the NFC West.
We're like parents using our child to fight, to battle each other.
I mean, don't get me wrong. The Seahawks are winning the division. Yes.
Yeah.
Rams are coming in second.
Yeah.
The Cardinals are going to surprise you. And then you got the 49ers. I don't know what they're doing. They're going to get to maybe 6-11. Let's go out. Let's stay out west with the AFC. I mean, is anyone going to have a shot to take out the Chiefs?
The Broncos are terrible. Just going to throw that out there. The Broncos are absolutely terrible.
So we're going to call – this is going to be like the NFC South. So it's going to be the AFC West A is the Chiefs, and then we got the other three teams.
Yep.
So how are the other three teams fitting into this? Who's second, third, and fourth, and why?
Chargers. Broncos are third, and the Raiders are going to be last. The Raiders are going to be last. Obviously, we know the Chiefs. Chargers will be better, but I don't see them making the playoffs only because with the Chargers, and I've seen it ever since they drafted Phillip Rivers, every year it's something. You had LaDainian Tomlinson, Antonio Gates, and Phillip Rivers, and a lot of other nice weapons, and you couldn't do anything in the playoffs. You always found a way to screw it up. That's what I see happening to the Chargers this year. Remember these last couple of years, time management, or you can't kick a game-winning field goal 3 games in a row or whatever. Like, it's what the Chargers do. And when you think that the Chargers finally are going to do what you think they're going to do, they do the opposite. That's what the Chargers do. So everybody that's saying, oh, yeah, it's their year, they're going to be 12-5.
Nope.
No. They're going to go 8-9 because they're going to have injuries. They always find a way to get hurt on that defense. It's what the Chargers do. And then we're going to see a little bit of a regression from Justin Herbert. Little bit.
I think, if I'm looking at this outside looking in, I like Denver's D. I'm going to go with them for third. I think the Chargers offense, Justin Herbert, my guy, he's going to put them in second. And the Raiders, they're just in the division. I don't know. They could go play with the Eagles.
Are they? Are they in the division?
They could play with the Eagles, the Jaguars. They should have their own division. The Eagles, Jaguars, and Texans.
It's kind of like putting whenever you put all the convicts on an island just to get rid of them all. It's kind of like you're going to put all the bad teams on one island just to get rid of them all because you don't want to deal with them. You don't want to have to pay the money to put up with them. So you're just like, you know what? Bad team. Sit you on an island, beat the crap out of each other, and then
That's what the NFL should do. Like what they do with soccer. Relegate. Create a division of all last place.
There we go. That's a good word.
You don't get the number one pick anymore if you're in last place. You go to your own division. You can make the playoffs. One of those teams will make the playoffs. Year,
they get to host the game.
If you lose that division, then you get the number one pick. That would be the way to do it.
Oof. So do they still get to play other NFL teams outside of that division?
Yeah, they have to.
Okay.
But you play. That'll be your division. The 4 worst teams in the NFL create a division.
how are you going to differentiate between Texans, Jaguars, Eagles, Lions, like Raiders? How are you going to differentiate between all those bad teams?
Strength of
Bengals.
schedule.
Okay.
Strength of schedule. You got to do it somehow.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard to pick 4.
I don't know. I think it would be interesting to do.
Yeah, I think the Raiders are going to be last. They don't play very good defense. I think whatever they're doing is a disaster. They drafted a guy in the 3rd round last year, a linebacker. He didn't play it down because of injuries. This year, they cut him in preseason. You drafted a guy in the 3rd round, and he never played it down in the NFL for you.
It's just a bad organization.
They did it. They traded Lynn Bowden to us, who was a 3rd round pick of theirs, and he never played it down for them as well. You spent 2 3rd round picks on guys that never played it down in your organization.
Yep. It's insane.
All
right. So right now, we picked our division winners. So we pretty much have the playoffs wrapped up. Super Bowl right now. AFC, NFC.
This is hard.
Make it happen.
Man, put me on the spot, Johnny on the spot. Every year I pick the Seahawks, and they always disappoint me. So I really don't want to pick them. So I'm going to go Rams. Give me the Rams. And I don't want to pick the Chiefs because I don't want to go normal. Everybody's going to pick the Chiefs. But there's really not a lot in the AFC that sticks out to me that, you know what? Yeah, give me Chiefs and Rams because I don't want to go Colts because they have Carson Wentz. I want to because they're a good football team outside of Wentz, but I can't see Wentz leading a team to the Super Bowl. I can't even say that with a straight face. So so give me Chiefs and Rams.
Every part of me wants to pick the Bills and the Ravens. The Bills got destroyed in the AFC Championship game last year.
Yeah.
I see them getting back, and I see them playing a closer game this year, but they still haven't addressed their running game. I don't see the Chiefs having any problem. The NFC is the problem for me. Do the Seahawks have enough to get there? Does Aaron Rodgers have the ability to get his whole team behind him to make one last hurrah before he leaves Green Bay? Is that enough to keep him in Green Bay if he gets to the Super Bowl and loses to Patrick Mahomes? But the NFC will come out of the West or the North because I don't think Tampa's doing it again this year.
Mm-mm.
I think last year took everything Brady had.
Yep.
So I think we're looking at the West or the North, which leads it to, you just realized Jake isn't here.
Well, that's because how good of a job that I do really bringing the whole show together. You just kind of forget about the others and you pay attention to the most important place to the most important face, which Jake can't dispute that because he's not here. Watch, he'll jump on like 3 seconds.
Give me JB Ellis? Yes, definitely. But anyway, yeah, but I think it's between the Rams or the Packers. The Seahawks will find a way to lose when it comes down to importance. I don't think their line is good enough to get to the Super Bowl. So I'm sort of hedging my bets in the NFC with 2 teams. So that's pretty much into the NFL. Any other topics, NFL, before we jump off of
that? Yeah, I'd mentioned about TJ Watt. The longer they take to sign him, the uglier this gets. I don't know if you're familiar with the situation, but they normally have 5 captains. They have 3 this year. He's not one of them. The Steelers' organizational deadline is the day before their season starts. That's the last day they do extensions. Once the Pittsburgh Steelers start their season, play the day of their game, they don't do extensions anymore the rest of the year. So if TJ Watt doesn't get signed by Saturday, according to their rules in that organization, he's not getting signed until the offseason.
They're very old school with the way they do business. I mean, one of the few NFL owners I've happened to meet before he passed away, Mr. Rooney.
Really?
Yeah, I met him at a wedding. Very nice man. One of my friend's sisters married his cousin. He was at the wedding. Great guy. one of the nicest people in the world. You would never know he was a billionaire from sitting down when I'm talking to him. Wouldn't even know he was an NFL owner.
But
such a genuinely nice man, and the way the Steelers and for the most part the Giants do business is very old school NFL.
the Steelers don't like to pay anybody when their contract's up. They don't like to give anybody the money. So they're really, really pushing this thing with TJ Watt.
Can you blame them though with the
Yeah.
track record of success that they've had?
He has 50 sacks in 4 years.
How many coaches have they had in their history? Not many. Go back to Chuck Noll?
3, I believe, since then. 3 counting him.
So the Jets have had 3 in how long?
Probably in the last 3 years.
The Jacksonville Jaguars? I mean, so seriously, you can't blame them with the way that they do anything. Even if they are cheap, the way they handle it, they get people into play.
TJ Watt is on pace in 4 years to be an NFL Hall of Famer. In 4 years, he has 50 sacks. If he gets 50 sacks in 4 more years, he's going to the Hall of Fame. You break 100 sacks, you go to the Hall of Fame. That's a Hall of Fame career. So he's on pace to go to the Hall of Fame in 4 years. Not be there, but if he did this for 4 more years, he could retire and become a Hall of Famer 5 years after he retires. That's how good he has been in the 4 years in Pittsburgh. So if you're Pittsburgh, you don't get that kind of production out of in NFL history out of almost anybody. So why are you messing around with the heart and soul of your team?
Because
why?
Because
this isn't Mike Wallace.
Because they can do that.
But it's not Mike Wallace. It's not a fluke guy. This is TJ Watt, one of the best players in the NFL. He's number 9 on the top NFL top 100 list this year.
So are you going to tell me that the Steelers organization has done a bad job?
No, I'm telling you they're doing a bad job with this situation. They're screwing this up.
Agreed, but
that's not a guy you play around with.
I'm going to agree with you, but at the same time, their track record for success, you got to pass.
But you don't run into guys like this very often.
No, I
you
guess
can't mess around with this.
Listen, everybody's got to do what they got to do.
You got to make an exception sometimes.
I would think so, but then again, their track record, how many Super Bowls have they been to?
Jon Mizek's wrong about this because if you're rated the 9th best player by your peers in the entire NFL, that means something. Maybe not the top 100 means something, but if you have a guy that's rated 9th by his peers out of all of the players in the NFL, that means something.
Look who decided to show up.
Most important place of the most important phase.
After it was said that he wasn't even noticed that he wasn't here.
Yeah, Jon Mizek said he didn't even notice you were here about 40 minutes in.
Well, he's not really here yet because he's still muted. But, yeah, I can't fault the Steelers for that. But getting past that now. Did you happen to watch any college football this week? Because I know we're all waiting for the NFL. At the end of Saturday, I said I wish the NFL was tomorrow.
Yep.
I watched so much college football. But the game that stood out to me, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, Florida State. What a great game. Did you happen to see any of it?
It was well executed.
I was impressed thoroughly by Florida State. And what, they really gave Notre Dame a hell of a game.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Jon Mizek. This comment really is legendary. Thank you. That seals the deal on who that is.
So you had Mackenzie Milton, the
2 Jakes. Oh no.
Whoa. Yeah, Mackenzie Milton from
it's gonna be just one.
UCF
I can't handle 2.
That got a horrible knee injury a couple of years back. He had to play football in 1,071 days. Came back, led Florida State to tie up the game. In overtime, their coach called the timeout, which they would have actually took the lead and possibly won, I believe. I forget it was late. So I felt bad for them. Great feel-good story for Mackenzie Milton. Bad start for the Irish, 9th-ranked team in the nation. And then, wow, if that wasn't the best comment of the night. Oops.
All right, I see how it is. All right, I see how it is. That's fine. I'm back for not even 5 minutes, and I'm already being roasted. Fine.
You were being roasted before that.
I'm not surprised.
It was pretty bad for Notre Dame, but tough game on the road to open up the season. Florida State came out well. They'll be fine. Jake, how's everything going?
Give me 1 second.
Happy Rosh Hashanah? I believe that's how you say it. Rosh Hashanah to
Yes, happy
Jake.
Rosh Hashanah to Jake and everyone watching.
Yeah, everybody that celebrates, yes.
Exactly true. You can't blame the coaches for it, but it was horrible to watch, especially when he missed. You knew they were going to lose. I mean, the kicker missed an extra point earlier in the game. It's a tough spot. It scares me to think that there's not enough kickers in college, let alone the NFL at this point, that are really good kickers. So I completely understand. What do you think of the game, John? And Mackenzie Milton.
That's just an amazing story. I mean, that story is just, that's what sports is all about, is just being able to come back from that, and that's what sports is all about. And you love whenever people are able to overcome those type of things, and that has to be the best story out of college football, probably all year. I mean, there's
1,071 days, and he came into the third quarter after the other quarterback lost his helmet. They left him in. He put them on like two drives to tie up the game. He made a great play in overtime on a bad snap to make sure that they preserved the good field position. So he's well aware of what to do. His mom's crying in the stands watching. I mean, the announcers overhyped it way too much. I mean, you got the importance of it. If anybody remembers the UCF team 2 years ago,
yeah.
I mean, the guy was a top 10 Heisman voter and Heisman vote. He has phenomenal talent. So, watching him come back was sweet. We're talking about Mackenzie Milton. I don't know if you heard it.
Oh, I heard everything. They lost that game, but man, was that impressive.
I was so impressed by that guy's heart. I wish him all the luck, and I hate Florida State, but I want to see that kid do well.
I hate them too.
I'm not a college football guy, but that was probably one of my favorite college football moments, period, ever. Just because the story behind it. I love those kinds of stories. I mean, I love seeing that.
You didn't even know he was gone, John Mizek. You had no idea he was gone like 40 minutes in. He's like, oh, I just realized Jake's not here. Like,
I'm a little offended by that. How do you know? This is the best face on this show.
According to Jon Mizek, it's not true.
Hey, it's okay. I was walking back, but I'm back. I feel like I missed everything, but it's okay.
Yeah, you missed all of our NFL talk. We were predicting
the NFL talk.
That's all right. Hey, I'm still here. That's what matters.
That's true.
Exactly.
I told you I'd get in eventually. I just didn't know when I'd get back.
Then the other big game of the weekend that shocked me, Clemson lost to Georgia. Georgia's defense was phenomenal. Now, Clemson always comes out these close games. They'll end up winning. Georgia always finds a way to blow a game like this. This year is different already. Georgia, 1-0.
Clemson looks bad.
Yeah, that was. I think it shows how good Alabama really is as a program because of the fact that they come out and look like they did this weekend, and then Clemson. I hate to say it like this, but it makes me feel like maybe it was just the fact that Trevor Lawrence was there, like that. A lot of their success was related
and Deshaun Watson.
So we're not taking
anything away from them, but I'm just saying
from Georgia.
No,
I am
Georgia.
giving them credit, but I'm saying I think a lot of it shows the fact that they've lost both of their great quarterbacks now. Like John is right, Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence. Once you take away their great quarterback, what do they become? They become a more pedestrian team, and when they play a good team like Georgia, it really showed. Is what I was getting at.
It's kind of like Dabo Swinney and Steve Kerr are kind of like the same coach. once you diminish the talent a little bit, they struggle with actually having to coach an actual team instead of letting the Hall of Fame type of talent carry you.
To be fair, it is a difficult thing for a coach.
Oh yeah.
Excuse me, when you take away their best talent. I mean, there's no way you can really say, "Oh, it's easy on a coach."
Yeah, but this is the first time Dabo Swinney's really had to coach.
I know, and I think that's kind of what I was going to get at with Alabama. Look what they did this weekend, right? I think that's partially matchup, but also I think it's more that it's proving how great of a coach that they have at Alabama and Nick Saban. I think it's proving he can win with anybody, and he can make literally any player apparently incredible.
Miami tried to jump up in class in that game. Yeah. Miami's going to be a good team, but they're not ready to play Alabama yet.
I think they're good, but they're not. Yeah. They're not at that tier yet.
They're not on that. They will not be on that level anytime soon.
I would say Alabama is just in their own class at this point, basically. And then I could potentially argue that maybe you want to put them in that second tier right below, potentially with Clemson. And I'm still putting Clemson up there just because not of just this year, but of like the past few years of great college football teams of recent years. So that's why they end up in there. You could put Notre Dame, I think, in that subcategory, if you will, that second tier right there. Those are the other teams that are fantastic. But to take on Alabama, you have to be like the cream of the top.
Right. You have to be perfect that day.
And Clemson at one point was what I would consider, one of the top, if not the top of that second tier.
Right.
And that's why they're a team like Alabama. And Alabama still did what Alabama does no matter what. Like that.
But they also had Hall of Fame, college football Hall of Fame type of quarterbacks. Because those are all-time great quarterbacks in college football.
Absolutely.
This was the game that surprised me most. Wisconsin always, every year after year, is a really good team that just never gets it done. They'll lose that one game late in the year. This year, they did it right away. They lost to Penn State.
At least they got out of the way.
Penn State credit. I'll give Penn State credit, though, because Penn State's a good team. It's not like they lost to a slouch. Penn State's top 20, and they're going to get better. But, I was completely shocked that happened right off the bat. Because Wisconsin at the beginning of the year is usually crisp and sharp.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the Big Ten, there's not a whole lot there outside of Ohio State. Really, there's not a whole lot that is real. Not a whole lot of teams in there that are going to get into the college football playoff or contend for it. So did we really think Wisconsin was going to do it? I didn't. Do we think Penn State will? I don't. It's still Ohio State's, they had their off day and they still won.
It's one of those games that doesn't really mean anything at the end of the day, only because if we're talking about football, the playoffs themselves, it doesn't mean anything because those teams are not going in it. Now, I understand that there is something to be said about that game, of course. However, if we're talking about, are they, like John said, and I can't believe I'm saying this, I'm agreeing with John.
Yeah.
Were they going to make the college football playoffs? Of course not. I already have probably 3 of those spots, in my opinion, locked already up.
Yeah.
And I don't, I would say at least 2 of them are locked up, if not 3. So really, I'm not saying, oh yeah, they're going to claim a 3rd or potentially, 4th spot. I really doubt that. So it's definitely something to watch, of course, because it's Big Ten football. It's Penn State, it's Wisconsin, it's big schools, but I agree. It's ultimately, when you look at it like that,
see, Wisconsin has had a shot the last couple of years to make the playoff had they won that one game that they lost. But they tend to blow that game late in the year. They did it to Northwestern, if I'm correct, a couple of years ago. They did it to Penn State again, I think, last year, and then they lost another game.
But so they're like, this year.
They got it right off the bat, and they always start off really good. So it was shocking. That was one of my best bets that I lost last week.
Yeah. Well, you know what? They were bound to lose a big game, and I guess they felt like, you know what? Why should we make people wait for it? Let's just get it out of the way. We're going to win every other game after this. And I will say this, you could argue there's a strategy with doing that, because if they win basically every other game from here to when the playoffs need to start.
Yeah, they would have to win the division over Ohio State to get in.
Well, I'm assuming they do that.
Yeah,
right?
well then maybe.
But the point I was going to make is people are more likely to forget an early loss than they are a more recent one when they're considering.
College football is weird like that.
Right. So even though the way the committee does it, I still don't understand. I'll never understand it. Like, I understand what they do, but I don't actually understand what goes through their heads to actually make the decisions, because sometimes it's a little bit questionable. We all have been there. So I understand how they do it. So my logic is maybe it's actually a good idea to lose this important game now.
Oh, if you're going to lose, you want to lose early.
Exactly.
Always,
because
early
it'll
loss
look
is
better
better
and
than
people
a late
will forget
loss.
about it really quickly. That's
Imagine the
thing.
NFL if like early losses mattered more than late losses,
Never.
or vice versa. It's like, oh, you lost week 1, that's not a big deal. Oh, you
That's no
lost
big
week
deal.
16. Oh, no, you're missing the playoffs, buddy.
Right.
And I want to give a big shout out to the Holy Cross Crusaders beat UConn. Holy Cross is a college that started their football program back when I was graduating high school. Spoke to the football coach. I decided not to go there. They just beat a real Division I school. Granted,
You decided to go
UConn,
to Bishop Sycamore instead.
Granted, UConn is horrible.
GB's full of it.
No, they really did. It was.
I know.
They just started their football team. I remember the coach. We had a long talk, and I was like, "Nah, I'm good." But they went out and beat UConn by 10 this past weekend. It's a big win for that college.
What about Montana beating a Pac-12 team in Washington? The Washington Huskies.
That's another shocker, but Montana's a real school. They've had
not really. Have you ever how many times have you heard from Montana in your life? Like 3?
But they get a chance. They get a
never
chance every year. They'll play a big name school.
I've heard Joe Montana more than I've heard the state of Montana in my life.
The most famous thing from Montana is Joe Montana, and he's not even from there.
Exactly. So don't give me that nonsense.
You guys got to start following college football. We'll get you into it. Don't worry.
I just never got into it. I don't know.
Name one player from Montana.
You don't have to know players. You have to know teams and schools and programs. Holy Cross.
Name one player from Holy Cross.
Holy Cross. They're the Crusaders, John. They're on a crusade.
Sounds like you've been drinking that Bishop Sycamore water.
Name a player. You want a player from Holy Cross? Is that what you really want?
Without you looking it up.
See the way he's doing it. This is funny. He's looking down, and I can tell that's exactly what he's doing.
Talking slowly.
I caught you like that. I mean,
you want a player from Holy Cross.
Out of order. I'm sorry. You're out of order for doing that. How dare you?
You got Sluka, who's the quarterback. You got their best receiver, Coker, at 47 yards. I mean, come on. You guys got to know this.
That's awesome. I don't know what's worse, what JB is doing or this. I think what JB is pretty bad. JB, he really does belong at Bishop Sycamore because this is some
really does.
BS. Because he's looking it up on his phone while we do the show. Because I know, John, that he doesn't know a single player from there.
That's He's a politician. He's a politician. That's a politician for you.
He may care about it, and that's fine. But he can't name a single player, and he just proved it.
Look, he should run for office again. Run for office again. He's a good politician.
If you don't realize that Holy Cross beating UConn, who's got a history of being Division I school, is a big win.
And maybe in college basketball.
Right. I was going to say, let's be real. Hold on. Let's be real. They may be Division I, but they suck at football as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
I can't recall a time where they were good in football. Basketball.
That's because they just became Division I.
They've been bad.
My point is that they haven't been good in football ever, period, as far as I know.
Doesn't matter. It just shows the state of their program.
No. Don't even try.
But Washington, who is in the Pac-12, lost to Montana. That's embarrassing.
Ellis lost to UCLA.
Oh. UCLA.
Did you hear about what Coach O said? Did any of you catch that video? I really hope you did.
I love a good LSU loss. He's nothing without Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Get that fraud out of here.
Hold on, but did any of you hear what he said against UCLA to a fan as he was walking? Oh, this was. Hold on, I gotta find it. He said, "Hold on."
Sorry, Matt.
Yeah.
JB is a politician, and he once played for Bishop Sycamore, as we said. So, I mean, there's nothing we could do about that. That's a lot of BS.
Listen, I
here
played
it
for
is.
Bishop Sycamore in my 30s, so
So
what the hell?
basically, apparently, I think what happened was a fan was heckling him as he was walking into the stadium to play UCLA, and so obviously the guy was wearing UCLA stuff, and his exact quote was, "Bring your ass on in your sissy blue shirt," and he said that, and then they lost, and if that wasn't good enough, what UCLA did was fantastic. If you go to UCLA's football, UCLA football's Twitter page, it's not up anymore, but they had a banner that I think it was like a shirt that they made, and it said "Sissy Blue." It was
Nice.
fantastic.
That's good.
I'll have to see if I can find it for us real quick.
That's good. That's savage.
It was really it was fantastic.
So that's about it for college football that I have. Anybody else with anything else with that?
Nope. That's the most college football I've probably talked in like 7 years.
We'll get you guys into it. This is an important time of year.
Well,
hold on.
Alabama, as long as Alabama's dominating, it's hard to want to talk college football.
You get that.
I try.
This was what they did. So after they won, they posted this and made this a shirt. This is a real shirt, and they put this as their header.
That's awesome.
How fantastic is that?
Where can we buy that?
Where can we buy it? I guarantee you could probably buy it just on their website, but I will look into that for you. I'll look into that right now just because I'm curious, but I'm fairly certain they probably sold them on their actual site.
I have a fun football discussion for us three next week because we probably don't have time for it this week, but it's going to be a good one next week. I dug up some stats. All I did was go on Google, looked up some stats.
I didn't really get to talk football today.
It sucks. We just ended the football as you got here. And, real quick, your Super Bowl before the season starts.
Who wins the divisions? Pick your divisions real quick. Who wins all the divisions?
All right, hold on. Then I got to pull up all the divisions. So I don't.
You got to look who's in the divisions because I can tell you.
I just want to make sure I don't miss a division. Because I got a feeling I'm going to do that. All right.
I can tell you.
No, I got it. AFC East, definitely the Bills, no question. AFC West, still the Chiefs, not a question. I think Chargers will come in second in that division for sure. I still think Chargers might make the playoffs this year. AFC North, I'm gonna go Browns.
Really?
Yeah. And AFC, I'm gonna put Ravens at second. AFC South, I'm still sticking with the Titans, and I think the Colts will come in second if they have Carson Wentz playing. If not,
well, who else is going to come in second?
I don't know. I mean, if Carson Wentz is not playing, they might really suck, and you can have like Jacksonville in second just because it's by default, kind of like.
It'll be Houston.
No, I'm skipping over Houston. They're not even. Deshaun Watson won't even start. I mean, they're starting Tyrod Taylor. While I get why they're not, I'm sorry, but that's not a recipe for success.
No.
Nothing against Tyrod. It's just the way it is. NFC East. I don't like saying it, but the Cowboys. I think Cowboys have the best team in the division. I mean, I told you,
JB.
I think Washington football team has the best defense, but I don't know that their offense is good enough. I think it's going to come down to the two of them. But I think with a healthy Dak, healthy Zeke, and them complementing one another, they will be the best team in the division.
Thank you, Jake, and I agree.
If Washington's offense gets going, then I will give it to Washington. I just don't trust the offense because I know they have the best defense in our division without a doubt. I'd actually argue the Giants have the second best defense in our division. But us and Washington share the exact same problem. Great defense, but our offense is just not there. I think the Giants have the right pieces in place.
Yep.
I just don't feel like they're going to have – it's not going to fall in line. So, again, those are both great defenses. I'm just banking on Cowboys basically just outscore everybody. That's more or less what I'm expecting.
Yep, that's how I feel.
NFC West, I'm going to throw a curveball. I'm going to say the Rams. Matt Stafford elevates that team. It's a strong defense already. I feel like Matt Stafford with a good offense around him, which he will now have. He'll have two solid receivers. He's got an okay tight end. And running back situation is not terrible. It's not amazing, but
It's solid,
enough.
yeah.
It's enough to get them to do what they need to do. And again, it's a strong defense. I'm trusting in Matt Stafford. I'm really trusting him. NFC North, still going with the Packers. I mean, I don't really think anybody's going to argue that. Seems like a pretty solid lock. NFC South, obviously still the Bucks. I mean, it's Tom Brady. So there you go. There's my picks.
Who's going to the Super Bowl?
Super Bowl.
All right, Super Bowl from the NFC. I'm going to pick the Bucks again because I learned just don't bet against Tom Brady. But I'm going to pick from the AFC. I'm actually going to go with the Bills. I'm saying Bills.
Okay.
Bills and Brady. Ew.
Look.
All right.
Hey, I think the Bills have a fantastic defense, and Josh Allen, if he can repeat what he did last season, which I believe he can, it's a solid team. They're still missing running backs, which, whatever. But I'm trusting him, and they obviously had a great season last season, and they went pretty far without running backs. I'm hopeful they're running back to pick it up this year.
Who wins?
Oh, Bucks. I'm not. Well, I hate to go with the obvious pick, but I don't want to bet against Brady because I've learned that doesn't work. So I'm just learning to accept it. I would like the Bills to win because I would much rather see that. But I've learned just don't bet against Brady. I mean, my main reason that I think the Bucks will win, their team is basically identical to last season. I don't see a reason that they won't repeat.
Well, they brought back all 22 starters.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I mean. Normally when teams win a Super Bowl, not everybody returns. So there's a little bit of a different team. Maybe they're missing a key piece somewhere. They have the identical squad going out there on both sides of the ball. What is the difference? That's what I see when I'm looking at them. I go, no.
They're the first Super Bowl champ. First Super Bowl champ in NFL history to bring back all 22 starters.
Exactly. And I don't see how they can – well, that's not true. I can see how they lose, but my point is that they brought the exact same squad back. There isn't a new weakness. If there was a weakness on that team, it's the same that we knew of last year, and they did it while winning. Like if they had that weakness, it doesn't matter because they won last year. So what's the difference this year? I don't think the team has vastly improved. That's going to beat the Bucks all of a sudden, and the Bucks stayed the same.
We got about 10 minutes left. Let's talk about the reporter situation, and then let's do our picks for the NFL. Let's wrap up. So, John, why don't you lead that off with what happened?
Yeah. So obviously we all watched the video. The reporter was trying to do her job. And then fans came over and started touching her and bothering her and jumping in the shot, which fans do that when they see a camera, they want to run by and jump and wave their hands. We all have done that, just kind of ran behind.
I admit I'll do that. It's funny.
Yeah, we've all done that. There's nothing wrong with that. But getting somebody's personal space where you like get too close or you touch them, that's a little bit different. You gotta, if you're gonna run by and just wave your hand, something like that, I have no problem with that.
Like if you go running by like this, who cares? Because you're just making it so you can see your face, your hands, whatever.
There's no reason to ever put your hands on a reporter when they're doing their job. They have a job to do. There's no reason for it. There was another story I just sent to you guys earlier tonight in San Francisco. One of the San Francisco reporters going back to her car after the game was accosted by a big guy, and she tweeted out thanks to the LA Dodger fans that helped her. Now it's San Francisco, a second-rate city with a second-rate team.
JB's not letting go of that.
They were very upset, the fans, because they thought she was like, saying, "Oh, the Dodgers," that the reporter was calling out Dodger fans how great they were. She was just saying it was a group of nice guys that protected her during the situation.
The right thing.
Right. So, it was just a cool thing to do. It had nothing to do with the, what team they rooted for. They just did the right thing. Yeah. Right. They just did the right thing protecting a woman in a garage late at night.
Absolutely.
Who was being followed and accosted by a big guy who, would have been.
I would do the same thing regardless of what team you root
do that for anybody, no matter what gender, honestly.
Exactly.
Now, I understand it happens to be a woman.
Doesn't matter what team you root for.
Exactly.
If someone's in trouble, you believe they're in trouble, obviously go help them. Don't be exactly. But yeah, I people take things too personally, which bothers me. But
it's like the Boston fan. I don't know if you guys ever heard this story, not to get off topic, but I think it was like 7 or 8 years ago Boston fan ran a Yankee fan over outside of a bar in Boston because he had a Yankee jersey on. He ran him over with his car. Like, a guy was walking out of the bar and he just got in his car and he ran the guy over because he was like, well, I don't like a Yankees fan. Like, you can't, like, it doesn't matter what team you root for. You can't do that.
Anyone that takes sports that seriously, take a few minutes to watch a Bronx Tale and listen to Sonny. That's all I'm going to say. Sonny will break it down for you because that's pretty much how it is.
Yep.
Yes, we all love sports. We all hate teams. But when it comes to people, that's completely different. You know, watch a Bronx Tale, listen to Sonny.
Look, I hate the Eagles more than anybody else probably, but it doesn't mean I'm going to be a bad person.
No.
If an Eagles fan's in trouble, I may not like them, but I got to set aside my differences because it's the right thing to do.
Yep.
Exactly.
It's being a decent human being at the end of the day.
I also wanted to bring up one, like, because this story kind of like came and went, like it came here and then it went pretty fast, but it got blown back up a day later when it was starting to blow over, a day or two later, by Barstool Sports. I don't know if you saw their tweet, but basically there was a guy that was a reporter at like I don't know if there was like this fraternity that was having like a party or something. But he was a reporter and he was like reporting on it. So he knew all the people would be like drunk and touching him and stuff.
Right.
And basically what Barstool did was send out a tweet saying, well, this guy, look how much this guy executed being a reporter. Like, look how well the job he did despite all the pressure and people touching him. They were taking a jab at the reporter, which was
they were idiots being idiots.
Yeah.
Idiots being idiots is basically the best way to put it. It doesn't deserve any mentioning. You know, Portnoy and the rest of his stools, they want to act like children. Sometimes things are serious and sometimes they're not. You know, this is not something that we should be joking about. You know, the woman had a job to do. She can do the job just as good as any of us.
Not only
and no one deserves to be touching her.
But like just reading the comments myself, it encouraged people to try and call her out on social media, encourage people to try and call her a fraud, it encouraged people to act like that, like Barstool was in their tweet, encourage people to act like that in the comments, which only adds fuel to the fire. And that's a problem. Like, that's what I wanted to bring up because it really bothered me because it's like, you know, anybody, regardless if you're a man or woman, should not be, you know, bothered when you're trying to do your job like that.
Agreed.
You know, you're trying to do your job. You should have your space to be able to do what you're going to do. I don't come to your job, you know, if you're flipping burgers or if you're selling houses. Imagine if you're selling houses and somebody came to you when you're trying to sell a house to a couple and they started bothering you. Would you be upset? Yeah, you're damn right. What if they cost you a sale? You'd be pretty upset. So you wouldn't want people doing that to you. So why are you going to go to this woman and bother her while she's trying to do her job? Like,
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Don't do that.
All right. So NFL pick time, and let's wrap up. So first game we got.
All right, good.
Tampa Bay. The Thursday game is always first. So we got Tampa Bay -8 against the Cowboys.
Tampa.
So
Tampa
covers easy.
I don't care what the line. I don't care. Tampa.
We're all going to get halfway through this game, and to the end of the game, we're going to be like, man, I'm glad football's back, but this game sucked because it's going to be a blowout.
Are we doing lines, gentlemen, or are we just doing
yes, doing lines.
Okay.
Who's keeping track? Because I'm not.
I didn't even know we were keeping track.
We always keep track.
You keep track, JB.
I'm not keeping track.
All right, fine. John.
All right, you could pick whatever games you want. I'll go first. I got the 49ers -7.5 against Detroit. Detroit's just going to be awful. And, you know, the Niners are going to come east and destroy Detroit. I got Tennessee -3 over my Cardinals, who I told you are going to do well this year. They're going to make the playoffs. But they're going to start off 0-1. That's my third pick. And for number 4, Green Bay -4.5 against the Saints. They can play that game anywhere they want. They can play it in Alaska. It doesn't matter. The Saints are trying to get Green Bay to do whatever. It doesn't matter. You're not going to win the game. Aaron Rodgers is going to play his last game in Green Bay. And they're going to be 1-0 and win by at least a touchdown. Those are my 4 picks. Bet them. If you don't bet them, don't complain when you don't win money. And if you bet them and you lose, blame Jake.
Blame me. Yeah, because it's my fault. All right. I'll go next. I got it. All right. Eagles, Falcons. That's my first game. I don't know how the Falcons are -3. I think that is just disgusting. I'm taking Eagles +3 all day. I don't think the Falcons defense is going to be able to do anything to stop them. And I'm not sitting here trying to say that the Eagles defense is good. But the Eagles offense is good enough to, I think they're going to crush the Falcons. That's number one. JB, I'm taking your Cardinals game, and I'm flipping it. I'm taking the Titans. That's a -3 for the Titans. I'm taking that all
That's what
day.
I said. That's what I said. I said Tennessee as
well.
well.
I did the Cardinals. I'm sorry.
No,
All right,
I said the Cardinals are going to do well through this year, but they're not going to win this game.
Okay. I agree then. Titans -3. Easy money in the bank. Chargers, Washington football team. Chargers are only a -1. That's easy money as well. I know the Washington football team has a good defense, but that Chargers offense is electric, and I'm not making a joke on purpose. I know they are a Bolt logo. That was not intentional. However, it just happened to come out like that. That offense is fantastic. I got a feeling they're going to put a lot of points. Justin Herbert is going to come out and continue to impress like he has been doing starting with last season. And last but not least, I'm going to go with Browns Chiefs. I'm taking the Browns on this one. I don't think the Browns are going to win, but 6.5, I don't like that. I actually find this game, I got a feeling it's going to be close. Browns have a solid defense. I believe the Chiefs will score points, but the Browns are going to be able to keep this game close enough, especially because that Chiefs defense is not that great. So if you're picking straight win, Chiefs all day. However, I think at the 6.5 mark, I'm still sticking with the Browns to keep the game within those bounds. I got a feeling they're going to keep it as a close game.
My picks?
Yes,
so we're not going straight Atlanta for one of our picks, right?
No. Any 4 games you want. We already took Tampa Bay. It's the Thursday night game and 3 others.
Okay, so 3 others. So I have the Vikings -3. I have the Vikings. I don't like that it's -3. I wish it was like 2.5. But I'm going Vikings because they're at the Bengals, and I just don't. This is Joe Burrow's first game back. We don't know how he's going to perform. Jamar Chase is Jamar drops. So I got to go with the Vikings for my first one, -3. They'll win. They'll win by more than that with Dalvin Cook. The Bengals are going to get stumped by Dalvin Cook and company. Looking at it, New England's -2.5, which means Miami's favored because you always give 3 points to the home team. So I got to go with the Dolphins in this one. Basically, it's saying who's going to win the game. And I think the Dolphins win this one. With rookie Mac Jones, I think he's going to have his hands full all game. So Miami wins that one. I got the Rams. The Rams -7 on Sunday Night Football against the Bears. Andy Dalton's in. The Rams are going to stomp them. Stomp them. No line. You have no offensive line, and Andy Dalton's your quarterback, and you're going up against Aaron Donald. You could have 5, 6, 7 sacks.
Why they're keeping Justin Fields out in week 1. That's the exact reason.
Yep, that's what I would do. So that's my picks.
I think they should still put him in. I believe he needs to face
Let him play,
especially the best. But I get it.
Let the rook play. That's how he learns.
I agree. But
David Carr tried to learn, and then his career ended in Houston with 51. I mean, it was 51 sacks a season or something like that.
Yeah, NFL record, by the way.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that was an atrocity.
All right. Anyone got anything else? Just remember last year I won that. I may not have won fantasy, but that'll be this year. I'll win fantasy and the picks. Fantasy
League starts on Thursday, gentlemen. To all our contestants, good luck and be prepared to lose because People's Champ is here. I intend to repeat. And more importantly, we're actually all 3 in 3 different leagues together. So I think we should keep a record of our fantasy leagues.
Yeah.
We are in a few leagues. We got.
I pulled off the blockbuster this weekend. Got Joe Burrow, CD Lamb, and Gus Edwards for Jameis Winston and a 15th round pick.
And Jonathan Taylor.
It was a great trade.
I tried to tell
your league we need to have the ability to veto because that trade is Bishop Sycamore. BS.
It's not like a trade that's like a kicker for a quarterback.
It's pretty bad.
I mean, Jonathan. I tried telling him when you trade for Jonathan Taylor, and he was like, Jonathan Taylor did great last year. I said, yeah.
Yes, but Gus Edwards is the starting running back in Baltimore. So, you know what? That's it's not an equal thing. And I got a much better quarterback. And you gave me a wide receiver one.
Quarterback in return, another solid wide receiver.
You got
and a solid running back.
Right, and I dropped 6 rounds in next year's draft. I'll worry about next year. Got to win this year first. But the thing is,
Jonathan Taylor has Marlon Mack coming back, so it's less catches out of the backfield, less carries. Nyheim Hines is the pass-catching back out of the backfield already.
Jonathan Taylor
and Quentin Nelson is out the first, supposed to be up to 12 weeks. So,
yikes!
I don't like that Jonathan Taylor. I don't like having him on my roster. So I'm glad I don't.
Listen, I think it was a gimme once he threw at Edwards. Before that, I was like, yeah, because I like Taylor, but once he threw at Edwards, I was like,
Edwards, another running back. He basically
Edwards and CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I'm in.
And the quarterback swap isn't bad. I mean,
no, because it's a keeper league, so I got to keep somebody. So I have a choice between Jalen Hurts if he does really well, Burrow, or Trevor Lawrence. So I get 3 young quarterbacks to decide who I want to keep.
You don't have to keep a quarterback.
But he wants to.
I think that's going to be my keep.
It's pretty obvious to keep a running back or a receiver. I feel like that seems like the obvious choice. But hey, whatever. It's fine. Once you lose, it won't matter.
Exactly. Once you lose, you don't have to worry.
So Deb is in 3 leagues as well with us, correct? She's in.
No, 2.
Is she in one of the Sideline Sports leagues?
So our 3 leagues, we have the league with the fans, our network league, and then our personal league that we're in. So he's only in the personal and the fan.
Okay, gotcha.
So we're in all 3 of those leagues, however.
So I see a lot of you guys.
Oh, yeah.
In fantasy football this year. We're going to have to keep track of these records.
Absolutely. Well, I'm happy to.
It's going to be interesting. Next week, we will start the talking.
Who's going to be just dark horse? Who's going to, off the top of your head, who's going to be your Sacco in our Sideline Sports League, and who's going to win it?
Which one? In the network?
The network league. And then we'll go with the other one.
I got to see who's in our network league. I don't remember who's playing.
My dark horse, not even a dark horse, but my pick for Sacco is going to be Jacob. That's my pick for Sacco.
He's got multiple kickers, doesn't he?
Multiple kickers in an 8-team league. Drafted 7th and 9th round on your kickers. So I'm going with him. That's like him picking the Sixers to win it all next year with Ben Simmons.
He also has Mahomes, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Tyreek Hill, and Harrison Butker.
He really likes the Chiefs.
On one team.
Really likes the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm agreeing on that on the Sacco, actually. I forgot he had multiple kickers on one team.
You can't have too many players from one offense.
I agree.
That's a rule in fantasy. You can't be a homer. You got to be careful of the homerism.
Avoid bye weeks.
And you can't have too many players from just one team.
He did both of those things.
Yeah,
at once.
The no-nos. And you can't draft a kicker too early. You can't.
Kicker, you're taking the second to last round.
That's what I do.
They're irrelevant. I mean,
yeah. There's always a good one out there. I don't overreach.
Unless you're playing in a 32-team league, what's your hurry for a kicker?
If I play in a 32-team league, I don't even want to play fantasy football.
I agree. All right, so you got your Sacco, John. Who's your winner?
Me.
I knew that was coming.
No.
Me.
No. I won this. I'm going 3-0. 3-0.
Hold on. In the network league, who is your Sacco? Who's your winner?
All right.
I'm winning Jacobs the Sacco.
Who's winning in?
I'm winning in Jacobs the Sacco as well. I'm not going to argue with that.
We all think Jacobs the Sacco.
And watch, Jacob wins, and we'll all be the Sacco.
We all lose. That would be great.
Who wins? That's not us. That's not one of us 3.
I'd have to look at the teams, honestly. I don't remember them.
All right, we got Bryce, Clinton, which which is Cool's name. I didn't even know that was his name. I thought it was actually Cool. Rob, Jake, and then Matt.
Looking at the teams real quick.
Bryce had a pretty good draft.
I was just going to say, based on the draft,
Bryce
I really like
really well.
Bryce's team.
Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, Joe Mixon, Calvin Ridley, Justin Jefferson, Robert Woods, Logan Thomas, Broncos defense, DeAndre Swift, DJ Moore, Matt Stafford.
Outside of us, he's got the best shot. He's actually got a really
I'm going to go Bryce as my dark horse to win it when it's not one of us three.
Agreed. I would agree with that.
We all kind of agree with that, so that's fair.
What about the other league? Do we have any dark horses
to win?
I haven't looked at everybody.
No, my Sacco.
Oh, Sacco in that league? I already know.
Yeah.
Do you want to make the fans upset by giving out a Sacco list as one of us three?
John Myzik, Sacco. Mark it down. 2021 Sacco.
Wow.
My Sacco either goes to John Myzik or I'm sorry, but Kayla, I don't really like this team. The bench is kind of cheeks. For lack of a better it's bad. Mike Davis, Cortland Sutton's okay. DJ Shark, Michael Pittman, Trey Sermon. I don't even know who this guy Stevenson is. He plays for the Patriots.
Oh, that's a rookie.
I'm not a fan of this team.
Wow, it's going to be awfully cold for Jake this winter.
No, I actually agree. I don't like that bench.
It's really not good.
No.
I don't know, but I don't think you should ever do that, Jake.
I just tell it as I see it.
Sometimes in life, you have to not tell it, Jake. You just have to keep the story inside. Let everyone else observe a report.
John Myzik, Sacco, 2021.
She's watching, or I'm hoping she's not, and she didn't see that.
Kayla, if you're here, I told him not to say it. He didn't listen.
Look, the bench is just not looking good. I'm sorry.
Listen, all I'm going to say, I don't want to talk about who's going to lose because we talked about enough losers. We talked about the Eagles way too much tonight. The winners, Zeke can destroy. The Giant fan that has Zeke.
People's champ, baby. People's champ.
Eli is not a Hall of Famer, is going to win the championship.
That is just the worst name ever.
So, which name do you like better, Zeke and Destroy or Joe Buck Yourself? That's the question.
Joe Buck Yourself. I love that. That's clever.
My name in other leagues, I think, is JPP's right hand.
Yes.
Sticking with that name. Won with that team last year. It's just a fantastic name.
You're the people's champ in the league.
Yes.
Whoa.
I don't know if she knows what I said, though. I don't think she does.
No, you didn't say anything.
If you're just tuning in, rewind about 3 minutes. And remember, I said to Jake, so we don't have to tell all the stories. Sometimes you gotta not report.
Is Deb going to be the Sacco in this league, JB?
Absolutely not.
Okay,
absolutely not.
I think Deb actually has a decent team.
Yes, good man.
See, Jake is learning already.
No, I just call it like I see it. I'm not saying it's a great team, but it's not bad.
See, Jake was saying all along that Kayla has a great team and that she could potentially win it. That's what I've been hearing this whole time.
Make sure you edit this. Jake said Kayla's team is the best.
All right.
What else would I have said?
So that's who we think is going to be the Saccos and who's going to be the winners, which I'll win. But if there's not a winner, nobody else will probably win in the fan league.
I think it's between the three of us in all three leagues still.
Yeah. We all drafted really well in all three leagues.
I like my team better than last year. I just got to remember to make changes Sunday morning.
Hopefully you keep up with it because last year you just gave up.
You don't have to change your lineup in best ball. You don't have to.
That's why in best ball I'm gonna win it, seek and destroy.
Isn't that a nice feeling? Knowing you wake up Sunday morning, if you wake up a little late, you're like, guess what? I don't got to do my lineup. I can just enjoy football, and the computer will do it for me. Yeah, I'll just enjoy the games. I don't got to worry about screwing it up. That's a nice feeling.
So, week 1 in all three leagues before we go, your biggest concern.
What do you mean?
Well,
you got 3 different matchups.
Yeah. Are you saying the matchup I'm most scared about?
Yep.
I don't even know who I'm playing in each league. How about that?
Well, I'm playing Jacob week 1, so I'm not scared about that in the league. In the league. Not worried about that. I'm playing somebody I don't know as Eli is not a Hall of Famer. I'm playing Team Salimos, whoever that is.
Fan of the show.
Fan
Don't
of the
know who it is,
show.
but fan of the show.
Thank
Fan of
you
the show.
for tuning in,
Thank you for being a
Salimos.
fan.
Johnny Salimos. Just so you know, Johnny Salimos, I'm the only John around these parts. So I'm going to beat you week 1
Well, he's
for
Johnny,
pride.
not John.
Yeah, but my nickname's Johnny, so
No,
I claim all of the John names.
Yeah,
That's why John Mizek's going to be the Sacco, because you can't have my name.
Fair enough. I think of all the 3 leagues, I'm not really nervous about any of them, admittedly, but I think of all the leagues, I'd be most afraid in our network league. I'm playing Cool. He actually has a decent team. He's got Eckler and Robinson at running back, and Adams and Brown at number 1 and 2 receiver, and Josh Allen's his quarterback. It's a little unnerving. I mean, I still trust in my team, but if you need me to give, you need me to give my biggest fear, of the 3, I'll go with that. But I'm not necessarily afraid of them. That's my biggest fear. But I'm winning all 3 leagues.
How many teams make it in that league? 4 out of 8?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, that would make sense. We can't have 6. Yeah, you can't have 6 in an 8-team league, so you got to have 4, I guess.
That should be right. I'll check. JB, who are you most afraid of?
So I got to go up against Deb this week in the Fan Tracks League.
Oh, boy.
She got a good team. It's a good team, but I'm not looking
John,
at this
4
as
teams.
not looking at a bad team, and then I got Bryce in the other league, so I got a couple of tough matchups.
Bryce is going to be tough. That's a good team. That's a dark horse.
He's got a good team too, so I got a couple of good matchups. So
I got cakewalk.
I played Jacob. I have the easiest cakewalk week 1.
Oh, you do. That really
Yeah,
is.
he's starting both.
3-0.
He's starting both kickers probably. So
we don't even have a super flex, but he's pretending like we have a super flex and he's in there somehow.
Messaging me on the side, can I start both kickers?
3-0, just calling it now. Easy win
shot
in each league, even though I say I got some tough games. Props to all my opponents. May your best players do well, but my best players do better.
My toughest one, Tassimos would be easy. Mustache Dolphin has a good team in the Fan Tracks League. Nick, he has a real good team, solid team. It's going to be a lot of tough matchups. I have a lot of bad matchups, so if I lose, that's my excuse. Because Dak and Zeke are playing the Bucs.
John,
that's hard.
Excuses.
Justin Herbert's playing Washington. Antonio Brown on my bench. I have Will Fuller suspended.
I don't want to hear it.
Michael Thomas is hurt. Stevenson of the Patriots.
Look, he drafted this team. This is on him.
He's not ready to play.
This is his team that he drafted. All right. I don't want to hear your excuses. You drafted the team. You want to complain that.
I'm not complaining. I'm just saying if I lose.
You don't want to hear. I don't want to hear it. Michael Thomas is going to be out. Well, who drafted him? That's not on me. That's on you.
I played the long game.
That was your draft.
Okay? I played the long game.
The fact that you've got guys on suspension. You know whose fault that is? Not ours.
Look,
not
my team should be called the longest yard. My team should be called the longest yard with all these suspensions and injuries.
You're not going to make it to the playoffs at this rate.
Look, the longest yard. Adam Sandler brought his team back to win, so I'm not concerned.
I like how you're quoting Adam Sandler one.
Look, my team is like the longest yard, a bunch of like suspensions and stuff.
We'll see. I don't have faith in you.
When it's all said and done, 3-0 at the end of the week. We'll talk next Tuesday when I win a bunch of games.
So you guys got to tune in next Tuesday, not only for the update on all of the standings, on the update on our picks, and the topic I wanted to bring up about historic running back comparisons between 2 players. And one is an active player, and I actually think he's better than a
historical running back.
A historical running back who's not in the Hall of Fame, not going to be in the Hall of Fame, but he had a pretty damn good career. And this active player is even better than him, and this active player just started. Wow. Tune in for that next week. It's going to be a fun topic.
We're going to have a good topic on that.
All right, cool.
So, real quick, John, where you at? Where can they find you?
Yep.
Oh, you can find me Fox Sports 1340 AM Hopewell. Check me out on there. Check me listen in with KNN, Kelsey Nicole Nelson. I write article recaps of her interviews, and then I also do recaps and previews of some of the Orioles games for Fox Sports as well. So I cover the Orioles for them. You can find me Cardiac Kane. You can find me on Fin Fanatic as well, covering the Dolphins on Fansided. Blue Hawks 13 on Twitter, and Sideline Sports, the most important place with the most important face.
JB Ellis at the program JB _ the program on Twitter. You know, the program, I believe, coming back in about 2 more weeks. That's already set. And obviously here, where everybody wants to see me. You're at the Notre Dame game this weekend. You may or may not see me. Try and find me. If you do, we can talk about my great picks for the week. Tampa Bay put me 1-0, and how my fantasy teams will dominate.
You could buy him a soda. Maybe JB's thirsty.
Buy him a beer.
Buy him a beer.
Next week, we will talk about how my fantasy teams dominated 3-0. My picks 4-0. My DraftKings account made a lot of money. And
that's what really matters. The DraftKings.
I'm gonna have rings.
Really
I'm gonna have rings all over my fingers this year when I win 3 leagues. I'm gonna have 3 rings, just plus my wedding ring, which is.
Anyway, JB, what were you saying? I'm sorry.
And most importantly, here next Tuesday night, where we can recap all my great victories. Jake?
Absolutely. Oh, John, you're such a weird man. You guys can find me here always every Tuesday at 8:30, even though it was Rosh Hashanah. So first of all, happy New Year to all our Jewish friends out there. Even though it was the Jewish New Year, I still made a point of getting on the show. Why? Because that's just what we do here. Even if we can't make the whole thing, we make some of it. That is the dedication level that the 3 of us have. So you can always find me here Tuesday nights, 8:30 p.m. on Sideline Sports. You can also find me on Twitter at Jake_Malik. You can also find me kicking the 2 of these idiots' butts and everybody else in all of our leagues, because there's no shot that any of them are winning. I'm winning all 3 leagues. And you can also, most importantly, find Sideline Sports on all social media. We're on Instagram and Twitter at Sideline Sport 1, YouTube and Facebook at Sideline Sports. We are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, basically everywhere you can think of. We are there somewhere. Find us there. And again, I'm going to win. My picks are all going to be right. Everything's going to be right.
Wait
before we sign off, John Misick, make out of order trend. That's your job.
Yes. And
make that trend on Twitter.
Wait, I look forward to when we start getting the Sideline Sports Bowl. Whenever Jake plays JB, I play one of you two. Whenever any of us 3 play each other, the Sideline Sports Bowl.
We have 3 different leagues for that to happen.
That's a lot of Sideline Sports Bowl.
It's going to be almost every week.
I look forward to it.
Absolutely.
That trash talk is going to be fun.
And we're going to have to recap on the show.
Exactly.
All right. Anything else before we sign off, gentlemen?
That's it, folks.
All right. Then everybody have a good week, and we will see you next Tuesday.
Eat your steak well done.